Hello guys, welcome to the channel again. This is 9 Miles Up. For you who are new to the channel here, I'm a real life Boeing 737 pilot, and today I thought in the video that I wanted to show you how we prepare, set up for an approach, and how we brief it. Because I see a lot of flight sim guys that does a excellent job about this, but a lot of them are missing tiny bits and pieces here and there. So I thought I'd give you a rough model of how we do it exactly in real life. It's important to say, in real life we do not fly the airplane and to set up and brief at the same time. So before we can even get started, we would hand over the controls to our pilot monitoring. So how I would do that would be to call out FMC speed, LNAV, VNAV path, maintaining flight level 380 inbound east. Command B, you have controls. And now the pilot monitoring, which in our case today is the captain, has controls and he can pretty much do whatever he like. And now we are off the hook and we can start our setup. So today we're flying from somewhere in the Netherlands to Copenhagen. Flying from, no, that's not true. We are flying from Charleroi in Belgium to Copenhagen. Now, the first things first that I want to do before I start setting up anything is I want to make sure that I have the latest weather, and if I cannot get it, I will use my reference numbers from when I was on the ground, where we got and briefed the latest weather based on our alternates. So basically we want to preset the QNH here. Pilot monitoring should have done this when they reach the top of climb, then they usually set it, so that when we get the real H's we can compare if there's a humongous difference of the QNH we had on the ground and the one we got in the air. Usually it varies with 1 QNH, hectopascal, and if there's a thunderstorm that has passed or something, it can sometimes vary with 2, but then there's usually an explanation to it. So the first things first, let me talk you through the model that we use in real life to set up and prepare and brief for the approach. Now, what we do is like this. This is the setup. The T you don't say, you don't brief, really you just talk about it. It's the threats. And then we have the delta: descent, approach arrival, landing, taxi, and apron. Good. So to set up for this, we can open up our plate here, I believe, like this. Correct me if I'm wrong. There you go. So without saying anything to the pilot monitoring, I'll walk you through the steps to simply set up for the arrival and landing. So I usually brief it in the same way as the D.A.L.T.A. So threats, I would think about, okay, the threat is there can be low visibility in Copenhagen, it's busy airspace with radar vectoring and minimum approach and minimum separation and final, so it's heavily congested airspace. Only way we can really mitigate it is keep a good listen on the radio, and whenever possible keep a good lookout, otherwise monitor the TCAS on the screen and take any preventive actions as needed, and in case we need to be prepared for a go around, basically, because if someone messes up, that's it. So that is what we brief, and that is the threats into Copenhagen for today. Then I would say in general the weather's fine. We have a stable atmosphere up there, not expecting humongous winds. We have a slight crosswind coming from the left. Press the recall and make sure the aircraft is fine. The aircraft is looking good, and no NOTAMs affecting us in Copenhagen today. So that was the threats part. Now we just briefed ourselves. We didn't tell this to the pilot monitoring yet. We're going to do that when we ask if he's ready for the briefing. So we just set it to ourselves. So now we are all on the same page, and we make sure that we have run through it all to ourselves here. So now for the first one, the descent. So if we go here to the descent page, we can see already now we need to update this one. We need to fly 250 below flight level 100. That is put in. We can open up our OPT here, I mean our flight plan, go to the forecast page, QNH 1020, transition level to be confirmed is probably going to be 60, and the descent winds we can put in. There we go, and that's going to be 261.63, 261.63. Flight level 200 is 236.51. Flight level 100 we have 236.25. Good. So now we've set up that on the descent page, so that's basically it. All we need is some rings, so I'll just quickly go to our runway point here, highlight it, go to our fixed page. We can expect maybe a little bit of cloud, so we'll just go 10, and when we are visual we can see if it changes. 8, 16, 24, so 24, that's 114 on top of 90, there we go. So now we have the descent set up, the approach and arrival. This is where we want to do the high energy approach mitigation, so I like to go to my plan mode. And then if we go to our, let me make sure you guys can see it. There we go. If we go to our plate here, we can see we're flying the Tutlo, the arrivals. We're flying from Tutlo, Lugas, inbound course at the Charlie Hotel 654, Charlie Hotel 6545, 638, now to 631, 626 Lamax, then a Abegi, and then a Vector. We do not expect to fly this, so this is where the experience comes in, or reading the airport brief becomes important. So if we go through this, we can see that we end up somewhere on a Vector here. What we can expect is to go around a 10-mile final. So to do this, we can see that we have a Abegi. It's a little bit further away from Charlie India 22 left. So we can go a Abegi -3. There we go. And then we can connect Charlie India point. So now it looks something like this. We're not going to execute it. All we want from this is basically to set a target descent profile. So we want to make sure Charlie Hotel 626 is going to be 4,400 or below. So this point right here is what is going to help us mitigate the high energy approach. So now we have it drawn up. We don't want to execute it, because if we execute it, as you can imagine, the Charlie Hotel 626 point is going to be our clearance limit, because we've modified the arrival. We cannot do that. So we do like this to calculate the expected altitude over this point in order to accept a direct 10-mile final. So we can erase. So you can see we can put it in 4,400 or below. So now we just mitigated high energy approach. We can execute it, and just like that we can now at any point from Charlie Hotel 626 accept a radar vector shortcut to a 10-mile final. We could even go 4,300 or below if we wanted to make sure that we can shortcut it even more. We're not going to do that anyway. So that is the descent we have mitigated there. Then there's the approach, and we can see here we have the frequency 101.9er, and if we go here on the approach plate, we can see we need 112.5, 112.5. That's the VOR. 11250. There we go on both sides, and then the 109.5, 109.5 in on both sides as well. So what we are waiting for now is for the VOR to identify, and then we need the final approach course, which is 217 both sides. 217 both sides, and the minimums for this approach we can see is going to be a Cat 1 with 208 minimums. So let's set that 208, just like that. Now we've set the minimums as well. So now let's walk through the plate here just in our mind. Okay, we're coming from the northwest side, and we're going to intercept with the right turn inbound Lamax, approximately 10-mile final. Intercept on 109.5. 109.5 is standby nav 1, nav 2. We have courses 217, 217 set both sides. The descent will be final approach fix from 1,600 feet, which is a hard altitude. We have that here with a 3-degree glide path. Let's see if we have that. It should be. Apparently we don't. So I don't know what went wrong here in the FMC, but it's a 3-degree glide path down towards the runway with minimum set 208 set both sides. Alright, and in case of go-arounds, the go-around says climb straight ahead to 500 feet or 1 mile from Oscar X-Ray Sierra after Oscar X-Ray Sierra DME, whichever's later, then turn left onto 187 heading, climbing to 3,000 feet and inform ATC. So basically a radar vector at missed approach. So 67 feet, which is where we're going to be 1 mile. Then we have the 1 mile point here as a hard point. Then it's a left turn 187 for a radar vector. So that is it. Now we've briefed that as well. Next part is when we land. So we can see already now that we have 5.7 tons on board. We're going to have 4.8 when we land, so that's a difference of 900 kilograms. So if we withdraw 900 kilograms for this, let me make sure we got that correct. Yep, 900 kilograms. So if we withdraw 900 from this, it's going to be 61.8. So what I'm going to do is, give me 1 second here, guys. Alright, there we go, guys. So here we have the performance numbers for Copenhagen. So we can see 22 left, 2.5 MSCG, 6 dry, wind 1606, temperature 16 degrees, 1020 QNH, and a weight of 61.8 with flap 30. The rest is put standard. That gives us an auto brake 3-stop distance of 2114 meters and 23-minute brake coolant time. So that is the numbers we need to remember, 2114. So if we go back here to our chart, we can see that on the airport we have a runway length of 3,300 meters. So half of that is going to be 1,500. So approximately intersection Bravo. Bravo 4 is where we're going to vacate. So our target is Bravo 4, 2100 meters, and in that case we're gonna be just fine. So we are planning on 61.8, flat 30, idle detent reverses, auto brake 3. When we land there, we can see that if we vacate via Bravo 4, it's a right turn onto Bravo, then we're gonna cross via Bravo down to the apron, and if we go here to the parking stance, we can see via Bravo, we can expect Bravo, a Romy, then the Whiskey down for one of the Foxtrot stands here, which is where Ryanair usually parks. So now we've set up and briefed everything, went through everything, so now we would brief the captain. So I would say, Captain, are you ready for the briefing? Yes, monsieur, yes, sir, yes, I am fully ready for a briefing. Good. So, Captain, the weather in Copenhagen is supposed to be fine. We have a little bit of low clouds, which is no issue. We should be able to get down on a Cat 1 approach anyway. The aircraft is good, and there's no NOTAMs affecting us in Copenhagen. The threats, of course, is busy airspace around Copenhagen with radar vectors. Let's mitigate it by, when we have VMC, keeping a good lookout, otherwise monitoring all callouts, monitoring all calls from ATC, and keep a good lookout on the TCAS display. Do you have anything to add? Any threats to add? No? Okay, good. I agree. So, for the descent, I'm planning on 250 below flight level 100. On the forecast page, I've loaded up the transition level and the QNH to be confirmed, and the descent winds are in as well. The arrival we're going to be flying is the Tutlo 3 Charlie down to an ILS Cat 1 for runway 22 left. The arrival itself you can find on plate number... Where is that on the Jefferson plates? There you go. You can find it on plate 10-2 Bravo, effective from 26th of January. The arrival here starts at Tutlo. So if we start here at Tutlo on the plan mode here, we can see Tutlo. We're going to fly northeast inbound at Lucas. No restrictions there. From Lucas we fly to Corsa VOR, maximum 250 or below, and we cross a 145, which sounds very reasonable. Then there's a left turn for 15.3 miles on a track of 038, inbound Charlie Hotel 654, we have 37, 15.2, that checks. Flight 120 or below is a crossing restriction at 654 point, then we fly to 645 point, where we need to track 092 for 7 miles, inbound 038, which we have as well, no restrictions. 631 we continue to, and which is going to be where our arrival takes us into kind of like a base turn. So 631 is a left turn at 059 to Charlie Hotel 626 as you see here, and then we're going to fly inbound Abeki, expecting a radar vector for a 10-mile final. So to mitigate the high energy approach, I took Abeki and -3 just to create a point here. So as you can see, we now have a point there, and we connect these two. And if we do that, we can see that if I delete the restriction at Charlie Hotel 626, we calculate that we need to be approximately flight level 440 or below at Charlie Hotel 626. So if I erase this, you can see I have Charlie Hotel 626 with 4,400 or below, so that mitigates the high energy approach. I can even do 220 or below here, just to let VNAV play around with the speed a little bit here. Let's do 230 or below, because we do have a restriction later on. Good, so from that point we expect the radar vector in for a short 10-mile final approach. From there we transition onto the ILS DME plate, which we have here on plate number 11-4 is effective from 26th of January. Is the ILS DME runway 22 left into Copenhagen, Denmark. So we can expect a right vector inbound for the final approach course, which is set at 217 on both sides. The missed approach is based upon 112.5, which is set active nav1, nav2 to be identified, and the ILS frequency 109.5 is on the standby. So we intercept at a 10 mile with a 3-degree glide path. We have the final approach fix located 5 miles from Oscar X-Ray Sierra with a hard altitude of 1,600. That checks with the FMC as well. From there we continue down towards our minimums, and I can see we agree with 208, which is set at both sides. So, in case of go-around, we will climb straight ahead to 500 feet or 1 mile from Oscar X-Ray Sierra. After Oscar X-Ray Sierra DME, whichever is later, then we turn left onto a heading of 187, climbing to 3,000 feet and a form ATC. So let's have a look here in the FMC. We have the 1 mile point here, then it's a left turn on 187 for a vector climbing 3,000 feet. So that's going to be the stop altitude for the missed approach. We can actually put 3,000 here. I think we should be able to. No, it's a vector, we cannot. So that is the missed approach, and in case of missed approach, my actions will be to press token once, call go around for F15, set go around thrust, raise the landing gear to positive rate of climb 1,000 feet, retract the flaps, verify LNAV 400 feet, and when we hit the 3,000 feet, we're going to re-engage the automatics climbing to 3,000 feet in LNAV, and we can expect early radar vectors back for a left downwind approach for runway 22 left again. Any questions? Okay, good. So if we look here on the airport plate, we can see that we have 3,300 meters on runway 22 left here. I expect the Bravo 4 as our vacate point, which is approximately 2,200 meters down the runway. To reach Bravo 4, if we look at the performance that we had from earlier here, we can see that with the Echo Kilo Charlie India 22 left, 2.5 MECG, condition 6, dry wind 160 outside air temperature 16 degrees, QNH 1020, it's a flat 30 landing, rest is put standard and no reverse credit. That gives me an auto brake free stop distance with a weight of 61.8 of 2,114. So let's go here to our progress page. We can see 5.5 we have on board, 4.8 when we land. That's a difference of 700 kilograms. 700 from 62.5, that's 61.8. So that checks with the OPT weight. 61.8, flat 30, auto brake, wind correction 5, auto brake free, idle descent reverses will make us vacate Bravo 4 no problem. Bravo 4. We vacate on and can taxi along Bravo until we cross runway 12, so there's a threat as well. When we land, we need to cross a runway. Let's use the standard procedure, put on the strobe lights, keep a good lookout left and right, and make sure we're visible and confirm we're cleared with the confirm readback call. Now we cross the runway, taxi via Bravo, Romeo, and then Whiskey into one of the stands, into one of the Foxtrot stands. Any questions, suggestions, or things you might want to add? No? Good, so that is the Delta completed. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. That is exactly how we would brief a normal ILS approach with an arrival in the real world. And I hope you stay tuned, because I think in the next video I'm gonna try and do the same thing, except explain to you how we brief it if we have if we expect to fly a non-precision approach, because then there's a few extra things that we need to take into account. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next video, and take care, guys.